To say EMDR had an impact in Mike and I's life really is an understatement. It was life changing. We were at a conference hosted by Ohio Assist, and the counselor had a opening. And so at the last minute, the gentleman that was running the event came up to Mike and I and said, "We have an opening for EMDR. Is it anything that you're interested in?" And Mike looked at me and said, "That's some hokey crap." I said, "Let's try it. Why not?" At that point, Mike was having triggers when he heard sirens off duty. It was a trigger that we didn't know why it was happening, but it was happening. And so he went in and was with the specialist for about an hour. I had gone on to another class and they came in and got me, which scared me. But they said, "Mike needs to see you now." And so I ran out in the hallway and there he was. And he said, "Honey, it worked." And I said, "What do you mean it worked?" And he said, "It worked." And looking back, my response probably wasn't the best, but it was the only one that I had. And I said, "How do you know?" The therapist that was there said, right as we finished the last eye movement, a siren went past and she looked at Mike and said, "Do you hear that?" And he said, "Hear what?" And she said, "Listen, they're sirens." And he heard them and he was like, "Yeah, those are sirens," not realizing what had just happened. And just a few minutes later, more sirens came and no response. I have to be honest, I was a little bit skeptical because I wondered, was it just a fluke? Later that evening, we were leaving the conference area. I saw and heard the sirens coming, and I always kind of tensed because I knew there was going to be a trigger and a reaction every time we heard them. We were talking about something, the sirens went by. And I said, "Honey, did you notice the sirens that just went by?" And he was like, "Yeah." And then he was like, "Wait, oh yeah." So it was life changing for us. And I'm so excited to talk about EMDR on one of my podcasts. Maybe it'll help you and your spouse and your family member have the same outcome.